back with another session of The Coach's Call with my friends Roland and Brian. And we're kicking about another topic here. We're talking about the second most team ready to win the Stanley Cup, according to the odds. That was at the beginning of the season, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The odds were that they were the second most favored team to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Behind Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that still true? You think that's still true?
No. I'm as a diehard Leafs fan, I'm still, for me, the victory will be making it to the second round.
So right now they're sitting in a wild card spot, 2 points, like holding on to the wild card spot by one game, by 2 points.
Yeah. They traditionally break out really well, and this year has been an anomaly where they have come out super slow out of the gate.
They did last year though too, remember? Their first 10 games last year, everybody was ready to fire everybody.
Yeah.
And then this year
They were
again.
as bad last year as they are this year, though, out of the gate. Super slow.
Yeah.
Who do you fire though, eh? Like right now, do they fire anybody?
I wouldn't. I'd wait till the mid mark.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I would. I think it's too early. And you saw in the last few games they turned it around a little bit. So
yeah. You know what? Everybody panics a little bit at the start too, and the Leafs. I look at them in their weak on the back end and their goalies. But you saw them with Carolina. They went in, beat Carolina. They beat Boston. It's like those two teams are really hot, and Toronto took care of them. And online, oh my Lord, everybody wants to get rid of everything.
But
you know what? It's funny. It's funny with the Leafs, and as a Leafs fan, I've lived with this for years and years. They play up. Yeah. They play up a level when they play up against good teams and contenders. Yeah. And they play down to lesser teams, like lesser teams in the standings. And even look at it, I would say, and I know you guys are both Habs fans. I even say when they lost that playoff series, they underestimated and they played down to Montreal and they got taken out, right? Yet if they, when you saw them against Tampa last year, they took it right to the end, right? It was a tight series. And they played some of their, better hockey than they had in years past. But it's an enigma with this team that they can turn it on against the good teams, and then they just tank with.
I think if you take this team, and I want to talk about the goalies, but if you take this team and you put them somewhere else, like if you take this team and put them in Arizona, I bet you they play better.
You think it's a product of the media scrutiny and
the pressure?
It's the like, pressure and culture.
Yeah, I think that has a bit to do with it, but
yeah. But listen, yeah, they've turned it around a little bit, but the goaltending.
Yeah.
Both goalies that the goaltending got turned over from last year, right? They had Mrazek, Campbell, and Shalgren. Shalgren's kind of still around, but they got Campbell's gone, Mrazek's gone. They moved those guys out. They bring in 2 new goalies. He changed his name to Samsonov, where it was Samsonov before, but he came to Toronto, so he's got to be different. So it's Samsonov. And then the other guy is Matt Murray, who's known to Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound days. But Murray gets injured after game 1, and he's been gone since.
Yeah.
And with his one game, he's got the worst save percentage in the entire league, right? He's last among goalies, but one game, right? So let's put perspective on that. And then Samsonov just got hurt, and he may be out. I don't know how long he's out for. But their goaltenders are now 2 new goalies, Jalgren and Petruzzelli.
Keefe Petruzzelli, a 2017 Detroit third round draft pick that played a bit of college hockey and then got picked up and been playing with the Marlies. So, and been doing okay. But that tends to be the Leaf thing, eh? They bring in these guys that play a few good games and they're the saviors. The only guy that really did pan out was Campbell last year.
Yeah.
Went on a streak and set some records.
Yep.
But and a lot of people upset last year when they traded Kev, or when they didn't trade him, they let him
go.
Let him sign. And if you look at how he's doing in Edmonton, maybe not such a bad thing, right? He might be a flash in the pan, and that had a great season with the Leafs, because he's in the 800s, I think, his save percentage in Edmonton right now. Even though he's one of his win percentage is good, but his save percentage is horrendous.
Yeah, and I think Edmonton's got a different dynamic, but
they'll let in 6 and score 7, right? So.
What do you think was going on around the table when they decided to pick up Matt Murray and Samsonov?
Well, Matt Murray, I think what was going on is they roll the dice and they go, hey, we know this guy, we know this kid, we know him from our playing days in the Sioux. We know what we can get out of him.
Yeah, but I think that in their eagerness and with thinking of what they knew, what they weren't looking at was the reality of some of his injuries, which were well known, like that he'd been injury plagued, and sure enough, he gets injured, right? So,
well, and maybe the money part was a factor in it too, right? Like they are a cash strapped team in terms of the cap, right? So,
and Washington let Samsonov walk. It's like, yeah, we're done with you. You can go wherever you want to go. We're not even, we're not signing you to anything. You can walk away. And and the Leafs, he's probably a good backup, like to be a backup goalie. But who's the backup goalie?
Well, Samsonov has a 2.23 goals against, and he's got a 921 save percentage.
He's not bad. He's been playing better than expected, I would say. As a Leafs fan,
now
Samsonov's not bad. He's giving than what you were expecting.
He's no Sam Montembeault. Sam Montembeault's got a .930 save percentage, and a 2.38 goals against. So, actually, Montembeault's got a little bit worse average on that than Samsonov. But I'm just saying the goalies are all upside down this year. Like I look at stuff, and you got Carter Hart sitting in second among save percentage for goalies.
The guy that I let go based on
the guy that you let go, yeah. You got Ville Husso, who goes from St. Louis to Detroit, who's playing his heart out in Detroit as well. Just a couple of surprises there. Linus Ullmark, I let Linus Ullmark go, and he turned the heat. Look at the Bruins, right? They turned the heat up there.
So listen, let's talk about Petruzzelli though.
Keefe Petruzzelli,
right? A guy that they're bringing in.
Yeah, is he good for 10 games?
Stands tall, been playing well with the Marlies, and Petruzzelli. The folks in Woodbridge got to go out of their minds, right? We gotta.
That's
someone to cheer for. The cup is coming. The cup now is definitely coming. Start the parade plans.
That's the danger. That's the danger and all that. No, seriously. So what? So is he good for 10 games? Because that's usually what the kid comes in. And
you know what? That's my prediction. He's going to come out of the gate. He's going to turn things around. Going to get the fan base back on the wagon, and then all of a sudden he's going to play. He's going to play punch above his weight for a while, and then he's going to come down. That balloon's going to float back down to the earth, right? So,
and I never want that. Like, it doesn't matter who the team is. I never want that for the player. Like I never want them to have that really high and crash. It's not like I like good news stories, right?
The young goalies or whatever. Yeah, it's tough, man. It is tough.
Yeah, and as we were talking about earlier, especially in the Toronto environment, right, with the additional burden of scrutiny from the media and the fans, right? So, a bad goal here or a lose a close game, and that kid's gonna feel it more than a goalie out.
So what do the Leafs do here? Like their goalies, I don't want to say they suck, but they've got a situation on their hands. What do you do? Do you
well, what you got to think of, Guid, is how long are the injuries? Like their two top stringers are out, right? So,
well, Murray, they say Murray's about to come back, so
yeah. and how are they when they come back too, right? So again, like we were talking earlier about do the Leafs change coaches? Do they pull any pins right now? I think it's the same with the goalies. Wait and see how the new kid does, see how the injuries pan out. But yeah, it's a tough. They're going through a tough spell right now in between the pipes. That's for sure.
What do you think, Roll? Fire them all. Fire the coaches.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, I I was reading the stuff online, like I told you guys, and yeah, a lot of after that poor start, it's like get rid. He's got to go. Keefe's got to go. Shanny's got to go. They've messed this team up, but it wasn't just the fans, because Sportsnet, they did a 360 too. The articles they were writing after their slow start, that Luke, what's his name? Something Luke, Luke Fox or something.
Yeah.
He changed too, saying this team is not built right. They need to make moves. They need to make changes. They're top heavy on the forwards. Things have to change. And I was surprised. And even the analysts on TV kind of jumped off the wagon, with the Leafs. And it's like, wow, some of us were saying that before the season started, saying, wait, I don't think the Leafs, I think they're worse than last year. With the moves that they made, they were a better team last year. But they were still staying, second favorite to win the cup. And it didn't start off that way, but you've got to wait it out. You've got to go more than 10 games, before you do anything.
Here's my thing. The goalies are the goalies that they have for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is what you see is what you get. And I feel sorry for the Leaf fans, but I think the waiting is over. Shanahan has had his fingerprints on this team for a long time now. He brought in his own GM. They walk Lou out of the organization. They bring in their own coach. They walk Babs out of the organization. And you could say what you want about whatever Babcock did or didn't do in the culture and all that. Not debating any of that. But you got Shanny with his fingerprints on it. You got Dubas, who's been the architect of the team now for a few years, and you've got Keefe. And you look at what that group has done, and they've doubled and tripled down on the players up front that they've had. Yeah. And he's piecemealed and worked his way into a corner on the salary cap on this. And I think it's done. The 5-year plan is over. And I think that they need to look at the trio and say, it's time. It's time to do something different.
I would agree with you at the end of the season. So I think this is the year of reckoning for the full year. And I think you're going to see the Leafs pick it up from their sluggish start. I think you're going to see them qualify outside of a wild card spot. They will qualify, I believe, for the playoffs. And then the proof's in the pudding as to whether they get to that second round. And if they don't, I guarantee you, I would put money on it that there will be wholesale changes in the front.
Yeah.
Ryan says it'll happen at the end of the season. I'm saying it'll happen before the end of the season. Rolly?
I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll fire anybody.
You're saying they're going to wait till the end.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens, guys.
The only caveat, if they're not making the playoffs, like if they're in a position where they're not going to make the playoffs, then they'll pull it before the end of the year. But if they're playoff bound, they'll wait.
I think they are what you see. I think they're at middle. We don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not make the playoffs. They might be a wild card team, and maybe that might be good for them if they do go in as a wild card team as opposed to all the expectations they've had in the past. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need to play underdog or something.
Yep.
I don't think that's what the team that they are. And I think that we'll see changes, but we'll see what the coach's call is by the end of the season. Another time, folks. Take care.